Chapter 27. Terence Arthur Mulligan put his accelerator foot hard down. Inspector Horvis fell back in his seat.
"Turn this cab round,"
he shouted.
"Drive to the nearest police station and give yourself up. Some chance."
Mulligan swerved round a corner, dislodging Horvis to the floor.
"You're supposed to be dead. My masters will pay me a big reward for you. I'll ask for it in diamonds." "How about you, sir?"
Horvis clambered up and swung his cane. It rebounded from the window, dividing him from the cabby.
"Bulletproof glass,"
crowed the Mulligan.
"and the doors of central locking. I'm taking you in."
Hugo Rune was already in, but then he had reinvented the ocarina for that very purpose. Getting into the zones had never been a problem for him. It was getting out that was the problem, as the ocarina didn't work from the inside. But he was in again now, all right. The silver car was parked back on the spot where Cornelius had originally found it, in King Santa's private car park. The ice cream van was still there too. Hugo Rune drummed his plump fingers on the golden wood of the steering wheel. So much physical activity. It really wasn't his way at all. He, like the king, was a man for delegation. On the back seat of the silver car stood a pedestal table, its top covered by a silken cloth. Beneath this cloth was a perfect microcosmic representation of the interior of the car. Hugo Rune didn't speak. When you possess the wherewithal to overthrow the secret king of the world and have the Queen of England locked in your boot, you don't actually have to say anything to make people wake up and take notice.
"Wake up," shouted Cornelius Murphy. "Wake up and take notice."
"I'm woken up," said Tuppe, rubbing the bump on his head.
"Not you. I mean Mr. Cobalt."
"I've missed something, have I?" said Tuppe.
"Just a slight spanner in the works."
"No, I'm sure I felt this spanner."
"The peace convoy plan just went out the window."
Cornelius began to smack Arthur Corbould about the head.
"Apparently the gig is being broadcast worldwide."
"First I've heard of it."
"There was something about it on the BBC," said Bollocks.
"So what's the plan going to be now?"
Tuppe asked Cornelius. "Mr. Cobalt is going to take us into the zones and introduce us to his governor."
"Does Mr. Cobalt know this yet?"
"No, but he will, as soon as we wake him up."
Something moved invisibly through the corridors of the forbidden zones. Two somethings, in fact. A large something and a not so large something. The large something was carrying the smaller something, but you couldn't see either of them because they were both invisible, or something. Anna poured the contents of the sound engineer's thermos flask over the head of Arthur Corbould. The sound engineer wasn't going to need it for now. He was still out for the count.
What's going on? Where am I?"
Cornelius knelt down beside Arthur Corbould and put Mr. Corbould's big non-regulation police issue pistol against his head.
"You are in big trouble," he said. "Now get up and take me to your leader."
"I certainly will not." Cornelius sighed.
"Mr. Cobalt," he said, "we have not known each other long, but I think we understand each other reasonably well. The way I see it, you have two options open to you. The first is that you take us at once, without trickery or complaint, straight to your governor. Hopefully, between he and I, some compromise can be reached that will spare your world and mine. The second is that you refuse. If you do, then I will shoot you dead. Press the blood red button over there and lead 23,000 travellers into your governor's front parlour. Personally, I don't care which one you choose, but I'd be interested to learn your personal preference."
"How prettily put." Arthur Corbould made a brave face. "And you're quite right. We understand each other well enough. You wouldn't shoot me in cold blood. You know you wouldn't." "I would." Anna stepped into Arthur's line of vision. "Allow me to lead the way," said Mr. Corbould.
"Allow me to lead the way,"
said Terence Arthur Mulligan. Horvis glowered up at the grinning cabby, who now held open the taxi door. He would dearly have liked to strike him with his cane, but he felt discouraged to do so by the nature of Mulligan's two companions. They were big, and green, and muscly. The taxi was now parked in a great Victorian warehouse of a place, between an ice cream van and Rune's silver car. The inspector viewed the latter with some small degree of comfort, but not much. Mulligan viewed the former with some puzzlement.
"Where are you taking me?"
Hovis asked.
"To the dungeon."
Terence made an evil face.
"The deep, dark dungeon."
"But first to your torture chamber,"
said one of the big green thingies.
"This is the sod who stuck his sword at my brother Colin's arse a couple of nights back on Kew Bridge."
The Gandhis were still rocking. They hadn't stopped. The control box was soundproof, that's all. Arthur Corbould led Bollocks, Cornelius, Tuppe and Anna away from it. They skirted around the hired heavies and were soon at the secret entrance in the gorse bush.
"OK,"
said Anna, prodding Arthur Corbould with the big pistol.
"Lead the way."
"Guys," said Bollocks.
"Yes?"
said the guys. "Guys, I think I'll pass this one up, if you don't mind."
"Bottle gun?"
Tuppe asked.
"Yes, actually. I'm not into guns and stuff like that. But listen, I did my bit, didn't I? I was in your epic."
"You certainly were." Cornelius grinned.
"Enjoyed the band. We'll get back to you later." "Good luck then, guys."
"Good luck, Bollocks." The tall boy shook him warmly by the hand.
"And thanks for everything."
"Be lucky," said Tuppe.
"You too."
Arthur Corbould led the way down the flight of stone steps.
"This isn't going to get you anywhere,"
he told Cornelius.
"Just move on. We'll see where it gets us."
The steps went down and down, the way some of them do, those that aren't going up and up. Although these could possibly be the same steps. Just depends whether you're going up or down. Arthur Corbould's party were certainly going down. Inspector Hovis was going down, and the big green thingy with the brother called Colin kept kicking him as he did so.
"Is that your own cab?"
the other big green thingy asked Terence.
"I lease it. It's the best way. The fares from the first day of the week pay the rental. From then on, all the money goes into my own pocket."
"Taking's any good at this time of year?"
"Fair to middling. Lots of regulars on holiday."
"But a lot of the people take their holidays in London."
"Oh, yeah. You get the theatre trade and airport runs, but a lot of people come on guided tours and the underground does good deals."
"You wouldn't recommend cabbing as a profession, then?"
"It has its perks, and you are your own man."
"Never thought of going out on your own? Minicab or something?"
"Too much hassle. You thinking of taking up the trade, then?"
"Maybe. I've got some bonus owing to me, and there has to be more to life than just being a big green thingy. Thought I might buy a limo, do weddings and stuff."
23,000 pairs of feet were now doing high-ho silver lining right above the head of the secret king of the world. The far from jolly red-faced man poured a large libation of some alcoholic beverage into a mighty goblet and emptied this down his throat.
"Kobold!" roared the king. "Stop that damn row! Kobold, where are you?"
Arthur stuck his head round the great door and smiled painfully.
"I'm here, sire,"
he said. And Cornelius Murphy stared above the shoulder of Arthur Corbould, and verily did he behold the hall of the hidden king. Holy The tall boy took a step backwards. The mind-boggling magnitude of the scene that lay before was a bit much to come to terms with. The sheer scale of the thing, its solidity, its grandeur, the fact that it was right here, under Store Hill. This was Castle Gormenghast, or the Hall of King Arthur, or something. Tuppe peeped from behind the tall boy's left knee. "I see that," he whispered. "You do see that also, don't you? It's not just me."
"It's not just you. I see it."
"And you see him?" Tuppe's right forefinger made wavery little pointings towards he that sat upon the throne, the big he, the he with the huge white beard and the huge red outfit, with the ermine trimmings, and that belt of his, and those heroic black boots, that he there. Cornelius saw him.
"I see him,"
he said. And Anna saw him also, and she was somewhat stuck for words. No doubt this would not last for very long, and some would soon return to her. Words like suck and sad, but not just at this moment.
"Kobold,"
said the king, quite loudly, very loudly.
"Kobold, what are you doing about that noise?"
Anna gave Mr. Corbould a kick in the backside. Arthur entered the court of the king at a greater speed than he might reasonably have preferred, and fell in an untidy heap.
Why exactly did you do that?
asked the king.
Oh, said Arthur, climbing to his feet, dusting himself down and slipping off his shoes. We have guests.
Guests? Guests? I didn't invite any guests.
They sort of invited themselves, sire.
No.
The king shook his mighty beard.
That is strictly against all royal protocol.
Oh, call me a twat, said Tuppe to Cornelius. But isn't that Father Christmas himself?
You're a twat, said Anna. But it is, isn't it?
She stepped sharply forward and poked Arthur Corbould in the waistcoat area.
Is this your governor?
It's the king.
Arthur smiled another painful smile towards his monarch.
Your Majesty.
Well, tell him to put up his hands.
Arthur Corbould now made the kind of face you make when you shut your fingers in the door.
I'd rather not, if you don't mind.
I do mind.
Anna thrust Mr. Corbould aside.
You,
she shouted.
I?
The king's eyes widened. They were somewhat bleary and bloodshot, but they certainly widened.
Corbould,
said the king.
There is a young woman thing here, and she's pointing a pistol at me.
Anna,
said Anna.
Anna,
said the king.
Anna,
said Anna.
As in the king and I.
Gods,
shouted the king.
As in, call out the gods.